Welcome to the second episode of Just Design, JD. JD is a design community created to share, connect and learn. The aim is to democratize design learning. In this episode, our guest is architect Femi Sotubo, manager, projects, at James Cubitt Interiors. He is a member of the Green Building Council, Nigeria and holds a bachelor degree in architecture from Covenant University, Nigeria and several certifications in photography, critical thinking, supervision skills, carpentry, quality management, customer service delivery, project management, leadership among others. Now let's join architect Femi.
It's my honor this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you're joining from across the world, to make welcome architect Femi Sotubo. Drop in the clap emojis on the chat. You have the floor, sir.
Okay, so if this was in person, this is where I will cover my face because I'll be very shy. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
I will first thank my friend Gbenga. Well, you all call him Dr. Alalade, but my friend Gbenga and Abraham for putting this platform. This is something that our generation and the generation coming after and our industry actually does need. Before I even get into the crux of the conversation, take it from me, somebody who has had to interview in the last 3 months. I've had to interview maybe nothing less than 20 people, gone through close to 200 CVs, and I can tell you categorically that there is a gap in the transfer of knowledge. There's a massive gap. There are a lot of people who have a passion for this our industry, but need a lot of hand holding. Now, like as been said, this is I've been with James Cubitt 10 years and I have been practicing 15. And I will tell you categorically that I have had people who have had to take me through the steps up to where I am. If this was a physical meeting, I could have called one or two people here, come and there are a few chats. Even as at today, people still sending me requests that please can you be my mentor? Just because of what some of my bosses have to say. If you need to learn the ropes, talk to Femi. But it's that the story of today. We're talking about my design journey, which means that at least I was coming from somewhere. And I will tell you that the Femi that you are seeing, listening to his bio, that bio does not look like anything like the journey that Femi has had to go through. So I will try and, as briefly as possible, try and give you a few of the things that have defined and have brought me to the person who I am today. And hope that as you listen, as you go on your own journey, it will also help you to be able to navigate through the things that might want to come your way. So I have my first degree at Covenant University and my master's degree at the University of Lagos. Interestingly, I have, so for a long time, tried to take under my wings creatives who are misunderstood. And I'll explain what I mean by misunderstood. Now, there are a lot of, I had challenges, school days. There are a lot of people who, you ask them what do you want to be, and a lot of people are not sure exactly what they want to be. They know that they ended up in architecture either because, their parents are creative, or they have a relative who is a creative who has an influence on their parents, or some of them, the parents admire somebody who is doing well in the profession of architecture. And I fell into one of those categories. It wasn't my first choice. And at some point, it made it difficult to navigate through the school of architecture. By that event, I ended up having a third class when I graduated, which eventually, by the time my results were ratified, it was a 2-2. But the funny thing is, it took a year and a half for that result to be ratified. So I was almost depressed when I graduated from school. That where do I start my life from? Oh, third class, because I felt my life was over. But one of the first people I met who used to be GMD at NMP at the time told me that no, actually, school is one phase, real life is another. Now you have to define what you do with the real life scenario that you are given now, because now you have a new slate. But what it means that the person who has a first class, the person who has a 2-1 might have it easier, but you who have a third class can be a lot more rugged in being able to say, I will not give up on myself just because my certificate says one thing. So I took that mindset into everything I was chasing the moment I graduated from school. Anywhere I see that there's a course that you want to learn, if you go through my LinkedIn, you see that I've taken all sorts of courses, online courses. At a point, I was the fastest rising staff because I was learning everything. I was, even before I had my master's degree, I was very aggressive in chasing businesses for the organization. But I want to give you a story of what happened when I went for my James Cubate interview. 6 months went for the interview, and the chairman of the company, after I think I was the final, and I said, see, everybody that came for this interview has the same CV, has worked somewhere before, has the same number of years experience. Why should I hire you? There's nothing spectacular. And I told him once, and I said, I will work for you for 3 months and for free of charge. And if at the end of those 3 months you do not like me, then I will leave. But if at the end of the 3 months, if you believe that I'm of value to your organization, whatever I ask for as a salary, you will pay. He sat down, put his hand across his chest and looked at me. I was like, no, this is spectacular negotiating. And said, no, I will not put myself in that kind of tight spot whereby I will now like you and you'll be asking me for a salary I cannot pay. And there on the spot offered me the job and said I should be the following week. So why am I telling you this? Part of the things I learned, when I left school, at the point when I had the third class, was I had to learn the art of negotiating, because I needed to go into every meeting thinking that I was at a disadvantage, but knowing that I would leave that meeting without a result. So I do not know, listening to me right now, that there are different people who you are at different positions in your, while you are in school, whether you are fresh graduate. Don't take it that you are at any disadvantage. You are the one who defines whether you are at a disadvantage or not. So another thing that I did for myself was to ensure that wherever I am found, now in James Cubate, I manage a project, but over the years, I was all over the country running projects from James Cubate. And what that did for me was, I will design, I will render, I will implement sites, I will interface with clients. And what that for me is, now I have clients who call. So what that did for me was, now because I offered exceptional service sort of plans, we now start having clients who will call the receptionist and say, oh, can they have Architect Femi's number? There have been a few clients who have requested for me to be the one to handle the project specifically. Why am I saying this is, now, when you show that you have a particular skill set, people stop asking what degree you have in school, as much you can deliver. People stop asking questions that make them look as they are questioning what you can do. I'll tell you something that happened my first year. I've been just at the for 4 years now, and my first year, I went to meet my bosses and I said, oh, I wanted to tweak our working time. They kicked against it and I said, no. And you will not believe that. So we had a target for that year. And within 8 months, we have already smashed our target. Now, every year, we have been doing better than the year before, because at every point in time, because I had mindset of being at a disadvantage at every point in, when I first finished school, I went in with every thought knowing that, oh, I needed to capitalize on the fact that I was at a disadvantage. I was always having to think of myself as, like this I usually say, I walk into a room, I hope for the best or I prepare for the worst. So I go into some of these meetings, I go into with some of these clients saying that these clients will hate me, and which makes me bring my best side to the table to say, oh, if I already know that this client is not going to like me, I go and research, oh, what does this client like? I go and find out, oh, how exactly can this client, how can I win the client over? I have a boss for a particular project that we were supposed to, the project that we are. I'm going to be touching on a lot of points that I have touched over the years, hoping that, or depending on who is listening, but I cannot really profile those who are listening to me. So depending on who is listening, you pick the one aspect that actually speaks to you. And from this boss, he found out that the major stakeholder was going to be on a particular flight to France on a certain day. My boss booked a flight to France just to be able to meet that person on the waiting lounge, to teach to the person before a decision has been made. Now, when he was giving me this gist, because of this, I find myself having to go to a lot of the places where you get to negotiate, to network, sorry. So because a lot of people, they try to, a lot of decisions are made in informal settings. They just come to the office to sign on the dotted line. So I had to learn how to do a lot of those things during the 1 year that I thought I was a third class graduate. And that in itself now brought me to the point that I'm telling you right now that if I walk into, so there was a client that we had, very difficult client, had already told us that we were going to lose that project when we're still bidding for it. And I walked into that meeting, I sat down, and for some strange reason, I've done a lot of background search on the client. I knew that the client and I shared a few things in common. So I started by painting some of the stories of things that will bring. The moment the client just started to ask me, "Oh, you do this, you do that." Okay, so I'll come out clean. So I'm also a motorcyclist. I ride the power bike. I travel with my power bike. I do charity with my power bike, and I found out that that particular client was a power bike enthusiast. So I rode my bike to that meeting, ensured that I made noise at the reception. So the client was now like, who is that person downstairs? So I'd already gotten his attention even before I went. So this is me teaching you some tricks when it comes to being able to be on the same page. Everything is not about how well you design. Sometimes it's about how well you can win over these clients even before that time. So I rode my bike there. I made some noise when I got to the reception. I parked my bike, I went upstairs. And when I walked in, I sat down. The first question he asked me was, "Oh, you ride a bike?" Now, this was long. He didn't even allow anyone to start interrogating me. So the moment his team member saw that, looks like Oga likes this guy, everybody had to now find ways to start to say, "Oh, yes, yeah, we saw his bike downstairs. It's a very big bike." By the time my boss joined the meeting, because she joined virtually, she was not in the country. By the time she joined the meeting, she was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So for me, I like to look for middle ground between myself and clients to make sure that I do not have to dwell too long. Because another thing that you also will realize is that there are sometimes when you do a fantastic design, there will be some people there who do not understand design but just want to query what exactly you're doing. And in that process, you can lose the person that you're trying to teach to. Another thing that will do you a lot of good, there are skill sets that now that you are still learning and at the early stages, you need to start to hone the skills of being innovative. It's easy to say that you are creative. If you do not hone those skills, you will not be able to get better at it. There are some of you who will, trust me, not everyone who goes to the School of Architecture graduates and becomes an architect or practice architecture. Some of you graduate and actually take an aspect of architecture and master at it and be so good at it. You are not a failure for doing that, trust me. When I first started working within the interior space, I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. But after doing it for about 3 years, and I saw that while in the same office, I had some of my friends from my master's class in New Zealand who have been on one project for 2 years. And in that same 2 years, I have started, run, and finished 15, 20 projects. I was finding fulfillment in being able to turn over projects quickly. Now, again, this is me. I don't know, well, maybe sooner or later, there are others. So from my own set, my class in Covenant, there are people who are doing landscape today. There are people who are doing furniture today. There are people who have even branched off the built environment space and are doing other things as creative. So after a while, I stopped using the term architecture, design. I started to use the word creative because you've gone to school, you've learned the creative process. You can actually apply that creative process to a lot of other ventures. Business, motivational speaking. What needs to happen is that it just needs to speak in whatever you are doing per time. Let them be able to see that, oh, you have innovative and creative solutions to the basic problems that come around in your life. So, but if you do not hone those creative skills, if you do not find avenues to be able to show that you are creative, now, truth be told, you cannot get good at it overnight. But with constant practice, with constantly doing it over and over, making mistakes and learning from those mistakes, you start to find out that there are things you can do in your sleep. They'll wake you up, oh, I need so and so. Right now, I'm not assigned to any one project in the office, but when there is a difficult client or difficult project, my bosses will say, oh, send Femi there. Because I've also been able to creatively find a way to manage clients and manage stakeholders on projects, I have been seen as a problem solver. Now, I didn't used to be a problem solver in that sense initially. But you see, like I said earlier, because I was always looking for how to find an advantage to my disadvantage, which was the third class I was talking about. It made me to network, find middle ground, and all of that. So I have, in my 10 years at James Cubitt, I have, last time I counted, I have been directly involved in roughly maybe about 90 projects, directly involved about 90 in my 10 years. And which is a huge sum if you look at it in a way. There are a few that have stood out. Quite a lot of projects, multinational, Coca-Cola, Dangote, MTN, Globalcom, and the like. So a few have stood out for different reasons. Some because of the specifications that the client required for, some because of the budget of the project, some because like COVID in itself brought a new dimension to handling projects for I as a person and my team members. To this, what I would say is there are a lot of people who do not believe in starting small. You want to graduate from school and you want to start to handle the very large project, which is good to aspire, honestly. But I will tell you for free that if you are not prepared, it's good to have it on your CV that you've handled a 200-story building. But I can tell you that if you're not prepared to handle a 200-story building, it can destroy your career at that point. So my advice will be, if you're still in school, if you're just fresh out of home, start to dabble into the small project. Most projects are the same. Start a project, you run a project, you finish a project. There are just different intricacies to those three things.
Hello.
Yeah, no problem. So you need to ensure that while you are small in quotes now, the small projects that come your way, handle them with, as being a creative, be creative in your solutions, try and be expert in your delivery, try and perfect the skill set that you, because it is this four things that by the time you eventually land that big project, you would have already honed those skills that it will not just be you walking into your element. I think at this point, I think I'll just cap it here and take a few questions. Thank you very much.
All right, can we celebrate Architect Femi for this expository story? It's always good to know the story behind the glory, as they say. Thank you for sharing these lessons. I think this is the junction we're waiting for. If you have further comments, contribution, questions you want to ask Architect Femi, this is the direct opportunity to do that right away, right? So you can just raise your hand in the chat and we'll just bring you up. You can just use the raise hand button. This is this interaction, 90 projects. I mean, Architect Femi, your story is inspiring, from a third class to a first class life, a creative, making great impact, 10 years, James Cubic Project Interiors. I think we should have lots of questions, right? We just have a few minutes to do that. If you want to send it in the chat, you can send in the chat. If you want to speak, please just raise your hand and then we'll just have you, right? Thank you so much. Who is going first? I think I'm going to ask Architect Femi a question while we look for others coming. For those who are currently maybe mid-level professionals, 5 years down the line, and then you shared something about starting small, being excellent at the small. What can they do to maintain that consistency? Because of a truth, young professionals in today's world are in a haste. Is it just about being patient, waiting for the right boss, the right company to cascade the impact? Can you share some light on that, please?
Have other streams of income. The one that will bring you in the tens of thousands, the one that will bring you in the single digits, and so on and so forth. In my office right now, we had at some point we started to look for how to encourage. So we have Yvier who makes cakes, Maka who is a health fitness person, Toby who makes soap. So we started to encourage team members to have other things that they do, as far as it's not in direct competition with the organization. So we all have a non-compete. Yes, as much as we know that everybody competes, but there's a non-compete. So don't take the office clients, don't take the office resources, but to ensure that you don't do that, you also need to make sure that you try and look at, and the reason why I say this is, when Nigeria, when one policy can render your industry useless for a whole period, and I'll use this as an example. I have noticed this since I joined James Cubic, I have seen 2 election years. The year before an election year, there's no money in circulation to do capital projects. It's always a struggle to pay salaries. So the first time happened is when I said, oh no, I need to make sure that even if my office cannot pay my salary, doesn't mean I'll go hungry. So you do not want to put yourself in a situation where you are afraid to do other things. Sometimes even be bold enough so that they know that they will not shakara you. They know, yes, you are bringing something to the table, but at the same time, you can hold your own. You can be able to have, so I'm about to take a course on Coursera. It's called Finance for Non-Finance Managers. Now, when I mentioned it at the office meeting that I think everyone should take this course, they thought I was saying it just because of the office. But the truth is, if you're a businessman, you need to understand money. It's not limited to you being able to count how much you have in your account, but to understand capex, opex, and all those other terminology. You understand? So you do not. I noticed this a while back that there are a lot of technical, and it's not just with architects now. Architects, doctors, those of us who are technical people, professionals in the technical field. We are usually so good at our chosen profession that the profession that you chose to be able to make money for you, we have terrible business skills, terrible money skills. We do not know how to keep finance records. Let me tell you a secret. For the best part of 2020 and 2021, I was the one taking care of the insurance account because our accountant resigned. But because I had an oversight of the project financial, so I had been learning how to understand money, withholding tax, VAT, and all the like. I was supposed to step in for 2 months while they tried to hire someone else. My boss found it very easy to just wait. That maybe you can do it for now. You can do it for now. I didn't complain initially because I was now learning more things about the finance of business. You understand? So another thing I would advise everyone, now that you start to learn, get money skills. Be very, very financially literate. It's very, very important. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Is anybody, okay, there's a question in the chat. Okay, I think it's a comment. Thank you for Lakemi. Okay, thank you. Is anyone who is asking a direct question, you can just unmute and speak. Okay, I see Sarah. Sarah, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you for sharing that, Femi. My question is this. Is it really good counsel?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sarah, are you there? We can't hear you yet, Sarah. Are you there, Sarah?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I think we can hear you a bit. If you could raise your voice a bit.
So can you hear me now?
Perfect, fantastic. Please go ahead.
Okay. I said, good evening, and thank you for sharing. So my question is this. For people like me who don't really enjoy doing BIM, we don't really enjoy working.
It's like we can hear again. Sarah.
Sir, can you hear me now?
Okay, we can hear you now.
You can hear me? Okay, good. I said, for people like me who don't really enjoy working with BIM, that is using computers and software and all of that.
People that don't enjoy BIM.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you say is good counsel for us to just focus on the actual design, that's like conceptualization, and then construction work that's on site? Is it okay if we just chalk out working with computers part and leave it for other people and just focus on design and then working on site? Is that good counsel? I understand that.
FM, did you get a question?
Sorry, I didn't.
Okay,
Sarah,
okay. I think she was saying that for persons, particularly like her, who may not be good with use of BIM software, can she focus on just design conceptualization and site construction work and leave the part of design development, which is drafting, modeling, to other persons? So that's the question. Like, I think I could become a Sarah.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, you are.
Fantastic. Okay.
It's a dicey one, and I'll explain why. what I'm hearing you say is the hard part of our profession is what you know how to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you are jumping a phase. It's good to do design concept, but you see, I've also realized that a lot of people, it is when you do the design development that you understand if your concept can work or not. That's one thing. You cannot be perfect or you cannot be good at being on site if you do not understand exactly how what has been conceptualized will work. So I used to have this colleague who we were in the same department and also we used to work in the same office. So he did a design for, I think it was a stadium we're working on at some point. And the design was fantastic, you know, and he did renders, fantastic. And at our office meeting, and they just said, oh, please, can you explain how this will work? Why don't you just cut us a quick section? He could not respond to how to work or cut a section. Now, I am one of those who am of the mindset that even if you don't like it, know how to do it. You understand? If you do not like it, know how to do it. The reason why I'm saying this is even at my stage, even my boss, so one of our directors in the office, architect Alalade, he's been in the office 25 years, still educates us on how to use. So if you sit down with him and he sits with Revit and AutoCAD at 25, he's almost 70 now. If you see his usage of AutoCAD and Revit, he was slow when they came to take the entire office in Revit in learning because he's not as young as we are. But his mastery of the skill, and which is why I would say that you still need to know how to do design development. You not doing it is taking away a major part of your learning process. Because while you are doing your design development, you are supposed to be researching how some aspects of your design is supposed to work. If you are supposed to have some special type of detail, you need to be able to understand how it works, to be able to explain to the contractor, to those who will develop. This is why when it's time to start to develop shop on site, because you still can't escape it. If you are on site, you cannot be telling somebody else in the office to do your shop drawings for you. So there are some times where there and then you take a pen and a paper, you will sketch what the detail is, you will sign it for the person who will implement it. Nobody has the time to wait for you to take it back to the office to go and start to draft. So you might not like it, but I think you should learn how to. And I also think that the more you do it, the better you will get at doing it. So please, it might be, I have a young man in my office, what's his name, Uche, who loves visualization. He's good at it. And when he joined the office, you know, he wanted to make a case, you know, he went to meet my boss, was reporting me to her that, oh, when he came to the office, he told everybody that he could only do visualization. And my boss walked up to me and said, oh, this is a conversation that she had with Uche. And I said, okay, I'll have a chat with him. So I called him up and I said, oh, I understand that this is, but have you tried to do it? That there are so many people who hate something that they've not tried because somebody else said it was difficult. So he got on a project that he's on now. And when we were celebrating my 10th year anniversary in the office, he had to comment and said, one thing he likes about me is, yes, I will tell you do it. I will tell you how you can do it. I will even give you solutions to how you can do it better. Now, why am I saying this? I also, Sarah, I hate doing sections. I hate doing sections. But the truth is, I have found myself in scenarios where you have to do sections. Because you find projects where you have to do 15, 20 sections. And you will not say you will run away from doing those, because it's at that time that you will understand, because there are some details that you cannot judge from cutting only 2 sections. School is making it easy for you. Yeah, they'll tell you just cut section X and section YY. Oh my God. When you start to handle those big ones, which is why I'm saying enjoy while it's still small. Use the small project to like design development. Enjoy it, so that when those big projects come, one intern in your own office at that time will not come and telling you that, oh, I don't really like design development. You also tell them what I'm telling you today, that you will like it, So please.
Thank you so much. We have another question here. How did you navigate the beginning of after school life? Did you immediately start with James Kibbit, or were you doing personal projects at first? How did you navigate this period of life? I think someone wants to hear this story again. If you can just share briefly. We have 2 other questions in the chat as well.
Okay, so James Kibbit was not my first. I worked with an organization called Aki House my first 5 years. Well, that one was core architecture. But even before I worked there, I'm one who hates to be idle. While I was at Covenant University, I used to be a part of the security unit. So when I first graduated, I started taking up event jobs. So during the week, Monday to Friday, I'm just at home not doing anything. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm doing one decoration job or the other. And, I was making money, but I wanted a structured environment. So I kept on looking for a job. At some point, I got a job working with Lagos State Government, Department of Mineral Resources. That is an interesting story. So someone who I told I was looking for a job said, "Oh, I should walk up to someone, get me a job." I got there and they offered me 3,000 naira as pay. And the person who organized the job was collecting 1,000 naira from that 3,000 every month. Now, some will have said, why will you take it now? Because I was not dependent on that pay. I had other things I was doing on the side. So yes, I was going there because I had a third class at that time, and I was looking for a way that I needed to meet you anywhere and everywhere. Years down the line, we were 15 in that department. 10 out of the 15, I built their houses. So I was making more money from the staff members than salary. So that was how I was able to navigate the first, I think, 8 months before I got the job at Aki Hive for 5 years. Aki Hive, before I got the job at James Kibbit for the 10.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Architect Shoni Barry has a question in the chat here. Developing as a designer, there are usually challenges or mistakes. It could be an oversight in details due to the risk involved in our profession. Can you share an experience where something went wrong and how, even though it wasn't solved, how were you able to manage the situation?
Where something went wrong. Okay, so this did not happen to me directly, but it happened to one of my team members. Well, I will also blame myself because I should have picked it up on drawing. So I think it was while we were working on the World Bank office project. The schedule that was done for the doors was extremely wrong. Now, by the time we got to site to implement, it was going to have cost us a lot of money to correct that particular problem. So when it happened, but because the contractor, now this is why I would always advocate for having people skills. Yes, you can be tough on the job, but you need to be fair. The contractor has worked with us on previous projects in the past. I have had to save them from nasty experiences by being fair in the past. So when the contractor saw the issues on the drawing, The contractor called me first before escalating to say, oh, this issue, I have seen it, but I wanted to discuss it with you first for us to find a middle ground because of the things you have done for me in the past. So that it will have my office, I can't remember the figures right now, but it was quite a sum because the World Bank was one of the offices, one of the large offices that I've had to handle. So, but because the contractor did not go ahead to implement the door schedule that he got, instead requested for a revised door schedule that fell within their contractual cost. So I think that is one that comes to mind right now. I'm quickly think of if there was another, if there was where something went wrong, That is one that comes to mind right now. In a lot of instances, there have been cases where over the lifespan of a project, things will go wrong from the contractor side, things will go wrong from the client side. Now, I like to keep a detailed log of all the issues. So there's this, there are a few documents that I keep, that I try to ensure that we have on all our projects. There's, apart from the normal documentation, normal documentation, there's also the risk registered, and there's the issue log. Every issue that has come up on your project, who was the cause, how was it settled, and there's the lessons learned document, which I use at the end of the project. Now, the issue log, as far as the issues on that log are more from the client, you are safe. At the point where the issues are more from you as either the consultant or the contractor, then you have a problem. So what now brings to the table will now be the terms in your contract, and your negotiating power. I will give you an instance of terms in your contract. There's a project that we ran, I think about 5-6 years ago. I will not call the name of the project. But one of the clauses in the contract says, for every week that the project extended beyond the timeline, we're going to be paying the client 100,000 naira per week. The client did not put anything that if they are the cause of the delay. So I read the contract and I saw that there was nothing if the client was the cause of the delay. So I introduced that clause to say if the cause of the delay was from the client, they will be paying us 100,000 naira per week. And I said to the client reviewed and sent it back, and I really threw it and it was fine. At the end of the project, this is where you need to be very careful with contract documentation. The client cost of delays, some delays was from us as the contractor. Now, you will not believe what the client did. When the client lawyer was reviewing the document, they took out the per week from the one that they will be paying us and left the per week in theirs. So at the end of the project, what was supposed to happen was we're supposed to be paying the client 4 million for delays. The client was supposed to be paying us 3.6. But because they took out the per week, all we took out was 100,000 naira as their own delays. So it is very important that you can see that my eyes are closed because we read all these documents. The project that we did for NLNG Port Harcourt had a contract document of almost 1,000 pages. You will need to go through all those documents at some point. So the holding of your skills I'm talking to you about is that when the project is small and you are used to reading some of these things, by the time the contract is big, you now find out that yes, even if you have a lawyer, you also need to understand the contractual terms of you as the consultant or the contractor, no matter whatever case the case may be. So the documentations are always very, very, very important. So that in itself might also be able to save you if you have clauses that in your contract that protects you as a person.
Amazing. There's a lot of due diligence there. Thank you, Femi. There's a last question here. We're running off in 5 minutes. Please just hang on. Thank you so much for your time. We also have an exit form, bit.ly, just design form. Please help us share your experience, and we'd just like to keep in touch with you for the next edition. Okay, the last question here is from Johnson. What does success in this career path mean to you? How do you quantify it?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Success. Okay, so over the years, initially it was to find a good paying job.
Okay.
At some point, it was to be able to afford the good things of life, to be able to. But right now, success to me is work-life balance in a way. That you know that you can work, you can get recognized for doing good work, you can be able to have a life outside the office and get recognized for having a life outside the office, and the two do not interfere with each other in the sense that you are still doing very well in both parts. And so this is holistic if you look at it in a way to make sure that you have money in your pocket, you can feed yourself, you can feed your family, you can have a reputation among your peers. You can work suffering. You can, so it is for me is a work-life balance for me. How I'll define success. Then the second, how do you quantify it? When I go to bed at night, now I have peace that when any client, no client's owing me anything. That is how I quantify that I'm successful.
Thank you so much.
Putting it simply.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Femi. Please, can we appreciate him in the chat? Thank you for the wisdom, the insights, the stories behind the glory. We can't see these on mainstream social media. You have brought in and bridged the gap this evening, and we just want to appreciate you. I want to bring up Gideon Wise as we close this up. There's a design competition we'd like to launch today. Gideon Wise, are you there, sir? Please feel free to follow Architect Femi Sotubo on LinkedIn. Let's keep the connection going. We appreciate this. Thank you very much. Okay, Gideon.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Architect Femi, for the brilliant lecture today. I'm sure, just like everyone, I can attest to the fact that I've learned a whole lot. So the competition we have here is titled The Museum of Resilience. So let me just read out what's on the screen. Just Design annual competition calls for a memorial design to honor the victims of marginalization, ethnic cleansing, tribal wars, and victims of anti-Semitic violence and oppression throughout Nigerian history. Participants are tasked with exploring architecture as a tool to communicate these tragedies. The memorial is to educate visitors of the causes of these terrible events, their impacts on the wider communities, how they are still affected to this day, and do so in a sensitive way that shows respect to the many individuals who lost their lives during oppressive systems. So participants can select a marginalized group or hybrid of groups and choose any given site within Nigeria, built or unbuilt, with a justification, of course. The first prize would be awarded 250,000 Naira, and the winner would also be invited to be part of the panel for next year's competition. Aside from the second and third place winners, there will be other shortlisted honorable mentions as well. The duration for the competition is 2 months. And and the deadline is on the 28th of December for all the applications to be sent in. So just to go over that again, it's the Museum of Resilience, and it's a structure to honor victims of marginalization, ethnic cleansing, tribal wars, and victims of anti-Semitic violence and oppression throughout Nigerian history. So you can pick any of the groups, whether it's victims of the Chibok or Biafra, or I mean, there's a lot of marginalized group in Nigeria. So you pick one or a hybrid of a couple, and give your justification for the sites that you select as well. I think that is clear. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Gideon. This competition is launched and the time starts counting. We are closing right now. I just like to bring up Architect Alalade for the closing remarks.
All right, thank you once again, everyone. I want to thank our guest, Architect Femi Sotubo. Thank you very much. I mean, your profile is interesting and intimidating. And I think Architect Femi just shows us the fact that you don't have to give up on your degree with a third class, and yet today is a high-flying profile, high-flying professional with 10 years experience at James Cubitt. James Cubitt is a place many architects want to work. Architect Femi, you have done well for yourself. I want to say thank you very much. I mean, hearing you speak today, I mean, I knew you back then in the days. I mean, this is awesome. It's phenomenal. That's why I wanted to come and share your story with us so that we can be challenged and inspired. And to all our participants today, I want to say thank you for being here. It's been a great time to have everyone. I can see a few of our, our senior colleagues here as well. I can see Architect Sholanke, Dr. Sholanke. I can see Architect G.D. Osho, Architect Folakemi, Architect Shoni Bare. A number of persons are here. I want to say thank you for coming. Students, thank you for coming. This platform, like I mentioned earlier, is called Just Design. And our goal is just for us to talk about design. We want to connect, we want to share with you, we want to be able to inspire you to be good designers. We just don't want to leave designers on their hold. We want to hold your hands together. And we believe that as we share, I recall, like I mentioned, this forum is inspired by the persons who inspired my work. Particularly as a student, I had professionals, the like of Architect Kuye, who inspired us as students, the likes of Architect Delia Liemi, and these persons had influence on my work. And I think at this time of my career, it's time for us to begin to give back and ensure that we can influence academic theory with practice. And with that, we can totally change the student perspective to design and also help designers to navigate the world of design. And so this is what we do here. And we meet once in a month. We expect that you help us invite your friends and tell them about what we're doing here. And we're sure that we're going to have a great community where we can share and learn. Our Telegram group is already on. We will share the contact very soon. Please try and help us to fill the form, the exit form. We've gotten some responses already. Help us fill that form and we'll reach out to you, and we're sure to have a great time. Thank you very much. The competition is on, it's for real. In 2 months' time, we expect to have the winners, and then somebody should win the prize. It can be a group of designers, students, practitioners, just anyone. And it's open to all. And we want to be able to, have a memorial for persons who have been victims of marginalization. And we trust that we shall have a good time. Thank you very much, everyone. I want to say thank you for your time. And we are glad we had you. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
All right. Thank you very much, Alalade, for the closing remark. Is it bye from here? We'll see you next month. We're going to share the details with you. Just want to say thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye for now.